What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another video. So in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down my two positions that I took today. Well, essentially they're the same position, just on two different accounts with two different purposes. I took one position on my Hero FX account, and I also took another position on my futures account, which I am also trading futures as well. So I ended up trading today the NAS 100 USD and NQ. So I also traded NQ as well on my futures account. On my Hero account, I ended up making a total profit of around $34,000, and on my futures account, I ended up making a total profit of around $19,000. Now, today's trade was actually done on Zoom. For those of you guys that don't know, I actually trade live with my Day Trading Institution group, which is basically my online mentorship program and my mentorship along with the Discord community. We go live at least 3 times a week, and also with the War Room students as well, which essentially the War Room is a separate branch outside of DTI. So everybody gets access to the live room, but War Room students don't get access to the online course. War Room students actually only get access to the live sessions and the live trading recordings. They're all recorded and posted on Zoom. So if you guys would like to join the War Room on November 1st and trade live with me on Zoom at least 3 times a week, then make sure you guys join in the waitlist. I will have it down in the description. You guys, of course, will get access once you do join the War Room to the live trading sessions, where I do go live during the New York session and we trade indices and futures, predominantly US 30, NASDAQ, and the S&P 500, and we also trade futures as well. So we also trade ES, NQ, and YM, which is a ticker symbol for US 30, predominantly focusing on SPX and on the NASDAQ NAS 100. So no matter if you trade futures, no matter if you trade indices, you could come into the live room and actually trade with me, because we go over all different setups in the live room. And of course, every single Zoom is recorded and posted onto a platform where you could go back and review that day, that specific live session. Or even if you missed the live session, you can actually just go back and review that live session, see why we took the trades that we did inside of the live session. So again, if you guys would like to join the War Room, you guys can of course click the link down in the description and join the waitlist. We're going to be opening up the War Room for 24 hours on November 1st. So now that we got that out of the way, one thing I wanted to discuss as well is for this specific Zoom session. Like I was saying prior, I did go live on Zoom and I did record this entire trade from literally start to finish, even before I actually got into the position. I'm going to give you guys that Zoom completely for free, that recording. So if you guys would like to get the recording of the Zoom session that we did today, which basically goes over all of the reasons as to why we took this trade, you guys can actually download that recording and watch it for yourself. I just want to try and provide value to you guys as much as I possibly can in any way that I can. There's a lot of gems dropped inside of that Zoom recording that I did not drop, or I will not drop in this specific video, because this video is literally just going to be breaking down the exact reason as to why I took that specific position. But in the Zoom recording, you're basically going to see me go over different other possible scenarios and why we chose this scenario to actually go with and actually trade. So there's going to be a ton of value in that. All you guys got to do is literally go down in the description, register, and once you've registered, it'll automatically send you an email with the Zoom recording, so you guys could go and you could view it at any point in time. Other than that, guys, let's get straight into the breakdown. All right, everybody, so before we actually get into the trade breakdown itself, of course I got to be transparent with you guys and show you guys the results. I'm not just going to be making claims without showing that I'm trading on a real account and that I'm actually doing real withdrawals. So first and foremost, we'll go over the Hero portfolio. So as you guys already know, I've been trading on this account for months. I already have $250,000 in withdrawals, and as you guys can see here, I entered this position at and made it a $34,000 profit. I don't know why I said anything else, but I made a $34,000 profit. And as you guys can see, like, I can move this around. This is not a screenshot. $264,000 in withdrawals and $34,000 in profit. Absolutely phenomenal trading day on this portfolio. Now, what I'm also going to do is I'm going to pull this up here as well. I'm going to log into my TradeStation account. As you guys could see, TradeStation is a fully regulated brokerage here inside of the United States, right? So as you guys can see, I'm going to select on live. Here's demo. I'm going to select on live. I'm going to press connect. I'm going to block out my username, of course, and then I'm going to log in. I got to enter my authenticator code here because I have a 2-factor authenticator. You guys should as well. I'm going to press continue. And as you guys can see at the bottom right hand side of the screen, I have a total realized P&L on the day of $19,000, which for the week I'm actually up, I believe, roughly like $45,000, which is phenomenal. But as you guys can see, I'm up $19,000 on the week so far, or sorry, on the day so far, which is phenomenal. And this was done on NQ shorts. So I shorted NQ and I shorted the NASDAQ. Now you guys are asking, hey Raul, why are you trading on different portfolios? One, for multiple different reasons. So my TradeStation portfolio on the fully regulated US brokerage, which is a futures brokerage. This is actually a portfolio where all of the profits I make off of this portfolio are going to go into my kids and reinvesting into my family and the futures of my daughters so far, and any future kids that I may or may not have, which is why I put it on our US brokerage, and essentially they're the guarantors of this account. So it's almost like a long-term kind of investment account that I have built for them. And again, all of the profits is basically just going to go to pay for whatever the business they may want to start, and essentially whatever they want. So I'm thinking about my kids long term here, and I'm also diversifying my income. I'm not keeping all of my money in one trading platform, but I do have the bulk majority on Hero FX, which is why the profits are a little bit larger. So we'll go over like a whole different breakdown on another day, but I just wanted to show you guys the results so far. So now that the results are basically out of the way, I want to go over the actual trade itself. So when it comes down, and I'm going to go over NASDAQ, mainly NAS 100. I'm not really going to go over NQ too much, although like they're kind of on the same boat. Again, NQ and E and the NASDAQ are basically the same thing. There's only minor differences in price action. So really this whole trade idea formulated for me off of the weekly time frame. Price action on the weekly time frame on the previous week did close with a lot of rejection towards the upside, and we did close under major weekly support being 14,697. Now it is earnings week, which is why I didn't continue to hold my position, but we'll kind of go over take profit, stop losses and everything as the video does progress. So I ended up, again, whenever you start off on your pre-market analysis, whenever you want to start off on the weekly time frame and then work your way down and see how the weekly is actually trading. So on the previous week, we had a huge rejection towards the upside, and we had a strong bearish close, and we actually ended up closing under support. So my thought process from the weekly time frame is we're going to probably see a pullback. Where could we possibly see a pullback to? The first area I was looking at was 14,695, which was going to be this weekly support range. Now breaking this down to a lower time frame, such as the daily time frame, we actually saw the daily pump up into this weekly range, try to break above, but close under and actually end up rejecting. Now we have the new day that actually just recently closed as well, with a lot of weakness towards the upside. Now here's another level that I have marked off, as you guys can see, which is going to be this 14,860 range, which we'll keep in mind for a shorter time frame. But with the daily time frame also closing under this area of support, this gave me a pretty good projection as to where I could look to formulate a trade idea. Initially, based off of these daily ranges, I was looking for price action to reject 14,700 practically and look to come down into this daily support at 14,533. Now, when it came to the 4-hour time frame, price action was actually just consolidating. So there's a few areas I wanted to actually look out for. The first area was actually going to be this 14,700 because price action was trading above it at that point in time. And I thought to myself, okay, well, if price action does break under 14,700, I could look for a breakout setup and look to take shorts down into 14,535 as a long-term target. And then in between that, we have intraday ranges on the hour time frame, such as 14,616, which is going to be like the first major take profit. So first major TP was 14,618, second major TP was 14,534. Now again, going back to the 4-hour time frame, price action was trading above. That was the first setup I was going to look out for, was a breakout setup to the downside. My second setup was going to be, okay, well, I want to maintain short bias because on the daily time frame, price action is continuing to make lower lows and lower highs. Price action is continuing to attempt to trade lower, and we also have this here as well on the weekly time frame. And on top of that, we have a lot of fundamentals that indicate that, hey, you know what, we could potentially see price action going lower. Not really going to get into the fundamentals too much because I mainly just want to go over the technicals on the technical side as to why I actually ended up taking this position. And again, it really stems to the majority of these levels. So going back to the 4-hour time frame, the other two setups I was going to be looking for was, okay, well, you know what, if price continues to trade higher, then we could probably see it come back up into the 14,767s, 14,800s practically. is where I was looking to take shorts. Now if we go down to an intraday time frame, such as our time frame, we see that price action also held this area as resistance on the previous trading day. So there is some type of selling pressure throughout this entire zone. And essentially, if price action were to come all the way up here and not give me that breakout setup, which it didn't, then this would be the next area I'd be looking to go short at. Now this would be a lot more of a shorter term trade. We could look to short at this 14,774 range and look to take profit at the support range on the weekly time frame. Make sure you guys don't lose me here. On the weekly time frame, where we could take profit at, and if price breaks under that, then we could kind of go along with the initial plan that we had with the take profits. But if price breaks above this area, then the final chance I would give any possible short opportunities would be 14,800 and then 14,864, because we have the major resistance range over here. Now I was short biased throughout the entire day because of the market structure that we've seen on the higher time frames, such as the weekly, the daily, and the 4-hour time frame. So nowhere in my plan was buys. Even if price would have ran all the way up into 14,900, the only way I would have taken advantage of buys would have been if price action would have given me a break and a retest of 14,865, which essentially is like the final chance for me to actually look for shorts, because we have this major area of previous support and resistance over here. And again, when it comes down to support and resistance, you have to think about probabilities of setups. If we've seen price action come up to this area, give us a bounce, 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 then break above and give us another bounce, what's the probability that we're going to see another bounce off of one of these levels? And that doesn't just go with this specific level, but that goes with every single level that I have marked off. What did we see on the hour time frame? We have bounce, 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 and then yet again today, this is where we capitalized on this opportunity, a bounce to the downside, right? So again, the ultimate last time I'd be looking for shorts would be all the way up here, which we did see price action way after I closed my trade come all the way up and actually reject and continue to go down. But those were basically the three setups that I was going to be looking for today. Either a breakout setup at 14,700, a bounce play at 14,776, or a bounce play anywhere between 14,800 to 14,863. Now again, when it came down to me actually looking to take the position, I'm going to break this down to even a smaller time frame, such as a 15-minute time frame. So when it came to me looking for a breakout setup, I normally call my breakout setups break of the lows or break of the highs. I need to see price action actually come down and break the lows and then close under the lows, which when the market actually did open up, price attempted to quite a few times, and then I really thought we were going to get triggered into the position here, but price ended up coming all the way up and closing bullish. This is the market open, and keep in mind, I'm only short biased on the day. Now, some people could have definitely taken advantage of this buying opportunity with price action bouncing off support multiple times, but if I would have taken any terms of buys, even if I would have made $150,000 on buys, I would have considered it to be a bad trade, because that buy was not in my plan for the day. The only way I was going to be looking to buy the NASDAQ on the day is if we got a break and retest of 14,862. Now, price action attempted to go down multiple times today. Ultimately, we saw price come all the way up into 14,767, which essentially is the area that we were going to look to go short on a first attempt on a bounce play, which the reason for entry was right after this doji candlestick here. This is the first bearish candlestick that we had within essentially the trading session. This was the 9:30 candlestick. This was the 10 a.m. candlestick. So we waited almost 2.5 hours since the pre-market, since 8 a.m. for this setup to actually form, and we stayed patient, which is why I'm so proud of all of the students inside of the day trading institution and inside of the war room, because none of them FOMO'd into the trade. A lot of them, well, not even a lot of them, some of my students were talking about, oh, you know what, like maybe we should just get in on this price. Like, no, we have to stay disciplined, and that's why they like having me inside of the live room, because I hold you accountable. It's like, bro, what are you going to be doing taking this position? Like, it's such a high risk position. Even if it does play out, like the risk to reward's not even going to be great. So there's like a lot of different variables that comes to the live room. I mean, you guys will see in the Zoom recordings if you guys do decide to actually get access to it and download it. But along with that being said, so the first signal to actually go short was basically this 30-minute candlestick. Price action came all the way up and failed to break and maintain above these highs and above resistance here, and ended up giving us this doji candlestick, which was the first sign that, hey, sellers are present at this specific level. Now we have to think about it from a risk to reward standpoint. Well, if we do end up going short here, where could we possibly take profits at? The first area of take profit would definitely be this 14,700 range, which price action did fail to reject multiple times today. Now, with that type of risk to reward ratio, what could we potentially see? Well, if we enter right after that doji and we place our stops above the high because that's where it needs to go, and we place our take profit, essentially where our first take profit could be, it's going to be roughly a 1.57 risk to reward ratio. Now, our second take profit was going to be at the lows of the day, which our second take profit was 2.33 risk to reward, and then our third take profit was going to be this intraday area here at 14,616, which would leave us with a 3.8 risk to reward ratio, and our very last and final take profit would be 14,500, which would have been a huge home run trade for 6 times our risk. So the risk to reward makes sense. We have our entry signal. Now, some of the traders inside of the war room did take the position right then and there. We also covered ES, and ES was a very similar setup as well. ES definitely paid out way more than what NQ or the NASDAQ actually paid out, or SPX did, which of course I also broke down S&P, and they caught this entire move, which again, I'm so proud of them, because this one would have been a home run trade. This one would have been massive. Unfortunately, I did not catch this position. I ended up trading ES, but this would have been easy 4.5 risk to reward ratio, but we did cover that in the live room as well. Other than that, so the NASDAQ initially gave us a first entry signal here. Now, some traders entered off of that 30-minute signal, which is perfectly fine because we got our first bearish candlestick. Not even that, it's a bearish candlestick. Buying pressure has significantly slowed down. A bullish volume has slowed down, and buyers were definitely met with selling pressures at this area of resistance. Now, going down to a 1-minute time frame, I'm going to try and explain this to the best of my abilities. What I was explaining to the day trading institution is if you want to take a little bit more of a conservative setup, but it will kind of tamper with the risk to reward, then essentially what you could wait for would be just a break of structure here on the 1-minute time frame, which essentially you had your break of structure right then and there. So some of them entered there and saw a little bit of drawdown, which is not that big of a deal. Retest, rejection, and price continued to go down, and others waited for that retest, rejection after the break of structure and continued to go down. So that is essentially the reasons why we took the trade. Now, where I got in and where I actually got out, I ended up getting in right after price action came down and closed with this strength. I didn't want to get in right then and there. Keep in mind the 30-minute time frame had already closed. So this was the 30-minute candlestick close right here, this 11 a.m. candlestick, or sorry, this 11 a.m. candlestick. So the 30-minute time frame already closed, and the way that the 30-minute time frame closed, giving us that doji, I did not want to sell into this bullish candlestick here with all of this strength and a rejection to the downside. So all I simply waited for, and I saw this as an opportunity as a retest to potentially go short. I saw the break of structure on the 1-minute time frame. Along with the break of structure on the 1-minute time frame, I saw the retest, and then price action gave me this beautiful 5-minute entry signal here as well, which is where I decided to actually go short. I ended up going short on the way down, just establishing that bearish momentum was in my favor. Again, we were discussing the same exact stop loss area, the same exact take profit area. Now, I actually ended up taking profit a little bit shorter, pretty much when price ended up coming down into this next area of support. Here is where I took profit. So I ended up making roughly 3 times my risk today, which I was risking roughly $10,000, which I ended up making a 3.4 risk to reward ratio. So I ended up taking profit along here. I didn't leave much on the table, which thank God I didn't leave anything on the table, because it was already a stressful enough day for me as it was. Because you have to keep in mind, like, we waited and were patient throughout this entire consolidation. Didn't take one single position before that, and by the time price came all the way down here, then we saw that major pullback, and then we saw price continue to go down. I was already ate for the day. I already had it. My emotions were basically all over the place, and I knew that, you know, if I continued to hold longer, it would just be straight greed, and I wasn't being very logical at that point in time. So we ended off the day with a 3.4 risk to reward ratio, a little bit less, a little bit more, kind of just average it out, which is fantastic trading day with the day trading institution. Now, again, I hope you guys were able to benefit off this video, gain some type of value off of this video. Make sure you guys join the free Telegram channel down with the link down in the description. And again, you guys just have to keep everything in mind. Just keep the majority in mind. Think about probabilities. If price would have continued to go up from here, the next area would have been for price to look for a rejection, would have been this next major level at 14,800. If price would have broken 14,800, then I would have looked for 14,863. Now, if I would have taken a trade at 14,863, say worst case scenario, am I going to be taking profit all the way down here? No, of course not. We can have set TP1 being our previous resistance range, TP2, TP3, and you guys should get the point by now. I like to trade from range to range. Now for the break and retest, if I would have actually looked to go long, then essentially the long for me would have been the break and retest over here. Stops would have gone under the lows. Take profit once. Use previous structure. Previous structure will give you clues as to where you can set take profits and stop losses. My first TP would have definitely been this 14,969. My second TP would have been 15,000. So again, you guys just have to adopt that probabilities mindset. If you guys are in the day trading institution, you guys already know why we took this trade. But other than that, everybody, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your trading week. I'm going to try and post more on YouTube. There's a lot of stuff that we're currently getting done. We're leveled up and bringing it back up right now because we are going through a transition period. So, of course, we will keep you guys updated. I actually just dropped an update on Leveled Up Discord. So, for those of you guys that are in Leveled Up and are one of our Leveled Up traders, we are transitioning to new tech, which I'm super excited about. We've been working endlessly on that. Other than that, everybody, I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Take care.